Hello students, welcome to the online class of biology. Today we will study about fertilization, implantation, parturition and lactation. This is the last part of our chapter. After the process of insemination, the sperms they are present in the cervix of the female reproductive tract. From the cervix, they will enter into the uterus and reach up to the junction of isthmus and ampulla of the fallopian tube. Here, if both sperm as well as ovum are present at the same time, then the process of fertilization will take place. The process of fusion of sperm with the ovum is called fertilization. The sperm, which will come in contact with the zona pellucida of the ovum first, will result in the process of fertilization, and now there will be one reaction which is called cortical reaction, which blocks the entry of the other sperm. Acrosome of the sperm will release the hydrolytic enzyme that will dissolve the zona pellucida and the plasma membrane. Now, the secondary oocyte will undergo second meiotic division, resulting in the formation of ovum and one polar body. The nucleus of the sperm will fuse with the nucleus of the ovum and results in the formation of zygote. In this slide, you can see that out of many sperm, only one will enter into the ovum, and there is present a cortical reaction which is initiated by the cortical granules which are present in the cytoplasm of the oocyte. Cortical reaction means by the releasing of the cortical granules, the entry of the other sperm is blocked or prevented to prevent the polyspermy. Sex determination. Sex of the baby is determined during the process of fertilization. Sex, you know that it is determined by the sex chromosome. In the males, there are sex chromosome XY, and in the female, there are sex chromosome XX. So, all the gametes or all the ova will contain 22 plus X chromosome. 22 are autosomes or somatic chromosomes, and sperm will contain 50% of 22 plus X and 50% of 22 plus Y. So, there are equal chances of formation of a male child or a female child. Zygote carrying XX chromosomes will develop into a female offspring, and the zygote carrying the XY chromosome will develop into the male offspring. Cleavage. Cleavage means division. We know that the fertilization takes place in the isthmus of the fallopian tube, and now the zygote is formed in the fallopian tube. It starts moving towards the uterus, and when it reaches the uterus, then the first mitotic division it takes place in 36 hours. From one cell structure it get converted into 2, 4, 8 and 16 cells. It becomes a solid mass, and now it is called morula. The division in the morula continues, and a central hollow cavity is formed which is lined by a layer of trophoblast cell, and now it is called blastula. Trophoblast cells attaches themselves to the wall of the endometrium, and this process is known as the implantation. So trophoblast cells help in deriving nutrition by attaching to the wall of the uterus. The inner cell mass of the blastula get differentiated into embryo. When the blastocyst get attached to the uterine endometrium. Then the process is called implantation. This is a diagram showing the fertilization and implantation. First of all, egg and sperm they fuses with each other to form the zygote. Zygote undergo mitosis to form a solid mass of cells which is called morula. Then there is formation of a cavity in the morula and now it is called blastula. Blastula attaches itself to the wall of the uterus with the help of the trophoblast cells. This slide is showing the passage of the growing embryo through the fallopian tube. After the fertilization and formation of the zygote moved from the fallopian tube to the uterus for the process of implantation. Now, we will see what happens to the blastula after implantation. You know that blastula it contains the outer layer of trophoblast cell and inner cell mass. Now, the trophoblast cells it forms the finger-like projections which are known as the chorionic villi. They get surrounded by the maternal blood and the uterine tissue. They get interdigitated and forms the structural and functional unit between fetus and the maternal body which is called placenta. Now, what happens to the inner cell mass? Inner cell mass get differentiated into three germ layers: ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm, and it forms the different organs of the embryo. Now we move on to the functions of placenta. The first function is that it helps in the nutrition of the embryo and helps in transporting the nutrients from the maternal blood to the fetal blood. Second is it helps in respiration. It gives oxygen to the fetus and remove carbon dioxide from the fetus into the maternal blood. It also helps in excretion, that is the removal of the nitrogenous waste from the fetal blood into maternal blood. It also acts as an endocrine gland because it releases hormone like estrogen, progesterone, human chorionic gonadotropin hormone, and human placental lactogen. It also helps in passing the antibodies from the maternal blood into the fetal blood against the diseases like diphtheria, smallpox, measles. It also stores glycogen until the liver is formed and it acts as an effective barrier against the toxic minerals or chemicals and germs. This slide is showing the position of the fetus in the womb of the mother, and in this you can see that the chorionic villi they are formed between the blood vessels and the tissue of the mother and the fetus. In this slide, we will see that how various hormones they affect the pregnancy. In the later stages of pregnancy, there is formation of the relaxin hormone which is released from the ovary. Human chorionic gonadotropin hormone, human placental lactogen and relaxin hormones are secreted during the pregnancy. Other hormones like estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine they get increased many fold in the maternal blood during the pregnancy. Hormones which help in the fetal growth and metabolic changes in the mother and maintenance of pregnancy they are also secreted. After implantation, you know that the inner mass of the blastula get differentiated into ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm, and now the cells of these layers are known as the stem cells which have potency to give rise to all tissues and organs. Stem cells are also present in the umbilical cord. We know that in human beings the gestation period is of 9 months and pregnancy is divided into 3 trimesters. The first trimester will end in 3rd month, second trimester will end in the 6th month and third trimester will end in the 9th month. This is a slide showing in which month which organs they are formed. In the first month, embryo heart is formed and which can be felt by keeping the stethoscope near the womb of the mother. And in the second month, limbs and digits they are formed, and by the end of the 12 weeks, that is the first trimester, the major organs like limbs, external genital organs, they are formed. First movement, and here on the head they can be seen during the 5th month in an ultrasound. At the end of the 24 week, that is the second trimester, body is covered with fine hair, eyelid and separate eyelashes they are formed. At the end of the 9 month, fully formed fetus is there and which is ready for the delivery or the parturition. Parturition. The delivery of the fetus is called parturition and it is brought about by the contraction of the myometrium, which is a layer of uterus. The signal of the parturition will get originated in the fetus and placenta. It will result in the mild contraction in the uterus, and this process is known as the fetal ejection reflex. The hormones from the adrenal gland of the fetus will diffuse to the maternal blood and results in the secretion of the hormone oxytocin. Oxytocin will keep on releasing and there will be forceful contraction of the myometrium, which is called labor pain. Due to strong contractions, the fetus will be pushed out by dilating the cervix, which is called birth canal. After delivery, the placenta is also expelled out of the uterus. At the end of the pregnancy, the mammary gland of the female will undergo differentiation and they will start producing the milk. Milk produced during the initial days of lactation is called colostrum and it is rich in several antibiotics